Hey everybody, VK here. So the question is, why did Benjamin Watson get cut off on CNN? We would say is perhaps human error. That could be one. Their equipment is garbage, a little less shaky, but also possible. And then there's also the possibility that they did it on purpose. None of these three are really good, seeing that we live in a very image-conscious culture, and what would be considered a famous name in news somehow totally lost the feed on what is really something that's sparking our nation's interest, and that is what's happening in Ferguson. So they lost the feed. I'm going to go with, right now, because we've got 3 minutes, I'm going to go with the fact that they didn't lose the feed, that something happened. Somebody made a decision that was enough. I thought it was a little ironic, though, that you've got Watson, he's talking about how there's sin in the heart of man and he needs Jesus Christ to change his soul. And then at the very bottom, you get Pope Francis calls for freedom of religion, that there should be freedom to believe what you want to believe. And then at the very same time, right when that's coming across the screen, we lose the feed on, just to point out some details, we lose the feed on a black man. Okay, so we're already talking about oppression and racism, then all of a sudden they drop him. And if we're going to say why they drop him, they drop it because of the lack of religious freedom, or the lack of him being able to voice his opinion, voice what he believes on CNN. And yet somehow they wonder why they have poor ratings. The fact is, ladies and gentlemen, is there's more than one opinion out there, and that at the soul, this is censorship. You bark about Christians censoring this and telling you can't sleep around and telling you that you have to be faithful to your husband or to your wife, and saying things like societies and cultures are built on husbands and wives and you ought to be a good father to your children, a good mother to your children, that the Bible matters, that Jesus Christ can change your life. All those things, we say those kinds of things. And if you say contrary, of course, we would like to argue with you, to argue our position versus yours. And yet, when you get on CNN, and we've got a football player talking about Jesus Christ, who, I have to mention again, who is a black football player, okay? So just by doing that, why are we in an uproar about racism now? Why isn't that a racist thing? That you lose the feed on someone who's giving his opinion, a very well-spoken opinion, and you drop it. How on earth is that not racist? Well, it should be, because you blew it. Now, I don't know what happened. I don't know. Maybe you need new technicians. Maybe you guys have such terrible cutbacks that you can't afford to pay your people anymore. Or maybe you just got junk equipment. Okay, fine. But just know that it's a reflection on you guys. If you did it on purpose, it's just abject failure. This is not free. You're not a free press. You're only giving out a press what you think belongs in the press, what you think belongs in the news. The fact is your ratings stink, and they stink for a reason, because your worldview stinks. And you need to, maybe worldview is too big for you guys. Let me help you. You think differently. And the way that you think is affecting your bottom line. And maybe you need to kind of switch it, change it a little bit. It's possible. I mean, what you're doing now is broken. So why don't you try something else? You might make more money that way. Next time, leave the guy on the TV and see what happens to your ratings. I'm VK. Of course, peace, love, a little bit of pushback, 3 minutes at a time. We'll talk to you guys later.